Thanks very much, Look, and similar to last week and again yesterday, I'd like to propose an amendment to the order of business that under Standing Order 56 the Attorney General be invited to the House immediately after the order of business to give an account of the incredible affairs of recent weeks so that this House can participate on behalf of the general public in getting to the bottom of these matters. A masterclass from Shatter in sarcasm, contempt and a dollop of full humility is the most accurate account I read in today's papers of yesterday's charade in the lower house. It is simply incredible, Leader, that these matters are being accounted for in the way that they are. First question I have to ask, and I posed it last week to you, how many special committees are in operation in each department under the authority of the Minister without the Minister's knowledge? Secondly, if the Secretary of the Department is missing for a bereavement or a holiday or illness or anything else, is there nobody else in the entire Department of Justice that does that person's work? If the Attorney General is missing for a family event, is there anybody in her department who does that person's work? Or do the affairs of state simply come to a halt, regardless of the seriousness of the matters at hand, just because one of these individuals are missing through illness, leave, or other issues? I have to say, and I'm bound to say on behalf of this group, that if that's the case, I have concerns about any of these people ever leaving their desks. There is still many questions outstanding from last week. The Taoiseach told us about how the Cabinet were gravely concerned about these matters, so he had to shaft the Commissioner by sending Mr Purcell out to his house. But yet, at that stage, the Cabinet weren't even informed of the letter from Mr Callahan. They weren't informed of the extent of the taping, so how could the Cabinet have so much concern if they haven't even discussed it at that stage? Also, on the Monday night meeting, which clearly dispatched Mr Purcell to the Commissioner's house, there was no mention at all of this letter from Mr Callahan. So I'm very concerned as to the autopilot regime which is coming to existence in the government buildings. The Attorney General, once she goes outside the door, nothing happens. The Secretary of the Department, once he's ill or at home, nothing happens. And once the Minister is at a book launch or in Mexico or anywhere else, it seems nothing happens. Now, whether the Minister goes, or the Secretary of the Department goes, or the Attorney General goes, or whoever goes, the affairs of state must continue. And the public are entitled to have confidence that whoever happens to have an ingrown toenail, whoever happens to be having a day off, or whoever happens to be attending a family function, that their concerns as citizens of the state are being looked after. And I think the context of the debate yesterday, the account of affairs by the Secretary General of the Department and the Minister's account are disgraceful contempt for the public in the extreme, in the neglect that's been shown to them, and in fact the fantasy and incredulity of an account of events that is simply not believable. So that is why each day, until further notice, under Standing Order 56, we expect, as an officer of the state, the Attorney General to come to this House, the upper house with the most current of mandates, much more so to come to this House and give an account. I look forward to being surprised. But I assume that when she comes, we'll get a detailed account. That is what the public are entitled to, rather than this show. But if you can confirm to me that she's going to come in,
you'll be surprised.
She's going to come in. Well, I very much welcome the fact that she is going to come in. And we'll get to vote on it now. On the second issue later today, Leader, the white paper on the universal healthcare, some 3 years in preparation, it seems, is going to be launched later today. And I'd like us to have a debate on that issue. Because it seems the king of announcements, Minister Riley, we now have free GP pay for under sixes, which is not happening, and there was no consultation with doctors. Now we're going to have a white paper that's 3 years to prepare. It's going to say nothing about the cost of universal healthcare, yet it's going to be in place in its entirety within 5 years. So that, together with the other issues that I mentioned yesterday in terms of the health service and the fact that breaking point in context of frontline services. There is an urgent debate needed here with the Minister with regard to what's going on the ground versus the airy-fairy aspirationalism which comes out once a month with various announcements.